I'm sure this is still good. Every single day, as tech companies try to convince us that technology is still getting better, better and better laptops are getting more and more useless. I considered doing this kind of project a number of years ago, but back then, if you had a laptop worthless enough for you to tear the screen out of it, it probably had a display like this. I've actually got 3 different displays to try this with, all from different kind of eras of laptop. This is like 2007 era, maybe 2012, 2013, and this is more modern, like 2016. These 2 were from laptops that broke. This one was from a laptop with a Celeron that is completely useless. Right now, let's take a look at this LCD screen. This is the reason I kind of discounted this kind of project as not worth doing last time I tried it. Once you get one of these screens out of your laptop, you can flip it over and find the model number. This one is an LTN 154X3-L0D. Catchy name. Let's look it up online. I found this website, panellook.com, which appears quite useful. I wanted to look at this because I wouldn't consider this worth doing anything with, but some of the newer ones, I think maybe they are worth doing something. So what is the difference? Well, for starters, this display has a resolution of 1280 by 800, which is like the kind of resolution that you can maybe open one window on, but even then you can't really actually see anything. It's just too low resolution. And somehow, that's the smallest problem with this screen. If we come down here to the backlight section, this display uses what's called a CCFL backlight, which is basically like a fluorescent tube, if my understanding is correct. That means it needs this separate inverter board to power the backlight, in contrast to LED-based screens where it's just one plug and that does the whole screen. Now, if you've got the space for this extra board and you're not too worried about the worst power consumption, what's the problem with CCFL? Why don't we just plug this thing in? Yeah, could you tell that this turned on and has a picture on it now? Because I couldn't. Let me turn the lights off. The backlights on this kind of screen just kind of suck. I believe that they actually lose brightness over the time that they're running, and this one is from 2007. So again, if the lights in here are on, this is the brightness of the screen. And now when I turn them off, you know, it doesn't look that bad until you're 2 degrees off angle and it just disappears completely. So overall, if your laptop screen looks like this, I'd say don't bother doing this project. The controller board is going to cost you like $20, $30. You'd be better off finding a used monitor for that price. Well, I guess if you're looking for your primary computer monitor, that's going to be the case with any of these. But this one's especially bad. Let's look at some of the newer displays. Both of these displays are LED backlit and look significantly better. And there's a couple different kinds of controller boards you can get for these depending on what you're trying to do. I've got 2 different plans for what I want to do with each of these 2 screens. This one I want to build into one of those monitors you put on top of your camera to make it look like you know what you're doing with it. So for this screen, I got this really tiny control board. This control board can be powered by USB-C, it can take video input over USB-C, and it has a micro HDMI input that can go to my camera. And this is the correct plug to work with this screen. For the second screen, I was thinking of a more traditional desktop computer monitor type of thing. I want to put this underneath the primary monitor at my desk. I put speakers side by side on my monitor, so I didn't really have a spot for a second one, and I don't want to use a full-size one because then I have to move the primary one up. Anyways, I think it makes sense to use this small one to go underneath it, and then I can have my Discord or Spotify or whatever open. So for this screen, I got this controller board, which has a DC barrel jack for power input, full-size HDMI port, as well as a VGA port. Let's plug these things in, because I want to see what they look like. Wow, just right away, the lights are still on in the room, and you can actually see what this says. And now a USB Type-C to plug in this display. And good, this one works too, and is also in a different language. My only options are changing the input from HDMI to Type-C. I don't think I can actually change the language on that. We're not gonna worry about that. You can still tell that this screen definitely has worse viewing angles compared to this one. That one's pretty bad. Let's plug in the newer one. Yeah, it's not great, but it's definitely better. When you're looking for these controller boards, you literally just type in the model number of the LCD screen followed by controller board, and you will probably find something relevant. I bought these ones on AliExpress. They're usually somewhere between like 16 and 25 Canadian dollars. I think that it is time to turn these into something useful. Let's 3D print a case. Possibly, you could see that this was sitting here the whole time, but likely you didn't even notice. So when I was designing this, I didn't really put that much thought into how it would actually be printed. So this one was printed with support material, and I could not get it out of this channel. The screen is supposed to slide into this, and there was support material in between there. I ended up breaking this entire top of the channel off and removing the support material that way and then gluing it back on, which did work. It's definitely not ideal. This thing's pretty ugly on the edges. This half was printed with no support material, and it does look better because I didn't have to break it, but it also, you know, there's nothing holding this up while it's printing. It doesn't look that great. I think if you wanted to do this project yourself, I would probably recommend just making the bezel on the front a different part and then like screwing it in or something. Trying to make this channel was probably not the best move. Anyways, the way this is supposed to work is you just take the screen and slide it into the slot from the edge. Yeah, something like this. And then we've got this box on the back to fit the controller board. This control board should screw into the bottom of the box using some very short M3 screws. This top panel has a button system, which in theory, I can screw this board onto the back of here, and the buttons should be able to be pressed from the back. Okay, I do think that this is going to work. These buttons press through to the buttons on the PCB. Time for a test. HDMI cable. I will plug this in here, and yes, there it is. I think that I'm going to call this one successful. Let's install this at my desk. I think that's gonna work just fine. Now, this screen is only 1366 by 768 resolution, which is the kind of thing you can open Spotify or you can open Discord, but not both. It's good enough for what I'm using it for. Let's do this one. This one I want it to be more durable, so much different case design. The backs are actually covered. Ignore the hole I kind of chopped out of it after printing. It works, it's fine. These parts are actually pretty sturdy and protective because this is the one I want to be able to mount to my camera. Let's unplug this. Attempt installation. There we go. I didn't quite get that gap closed. I might have to print this with slightly more clearance in here. As usual though, I'm just going to ignore all of the problems and continue anyway. That's a later issue. Okay, just ignore the massive gap in it, and it actually looks pretty decent. And now, in theory, I can take one singular USB-C cable, not even with a power supply for this, plug it into a USB-C compatible device. Okay, possibly I need to use the other port. Try this one. That totally works. One USB cable out of the phone into the back of the custom monitor. That is displaying the phone screen. That's pretty cool. Now the real idea with this one is it attaches to the hot shoe of my camera. It's definitely a little big. I think you'd usually go for like a 10, maybe a 9-inch screen for this kind of thing. This is a 14-inch screen. I mean, it does look cool. Okay, maybe by the time you've got a battery to power this thing, it gets pretty hard to pass this off as a good idea, but realistically, this is not how I'm gonna use it. Probably the better idea is because this camera sits here, pointing down, this can mount somewhere along the side here, and then I can see my camera view from sitting at the desk. That's probably a more realistic use case. And well, that is going to conclude taking laptop screens and turning them into screens that do not require laptops, so your laptop screen can be laptop free. Thank you for watching. Come back next week. I'll put a piece of electrical tape over that. Who needs permanent solutions when we've got temporary solutions?